Welcome to the Highlands of Scotland, where the destination for me and 300 athletes is the Isle of Rum, the start line for the Adventure Racing World Championships. Now, by landing here, the athletes have multiplied the island's population 12 times. This is an area of true wilderness, and wilderness is what this event is all about. This is the start point, and the athletes will have to cover 532 kilometres over the next 5 days, ending up in Fort William. The race incorporates the Wilderness Arc, a regular fixture here in the Loch Arbour region, but this year running on a course extended to last up to 7 days. This year is the final event of the Adventure Racing World Series, and there has to be a world champion team at the end of it. So the 50 teams can look forward to a set of extreme challenges suitable for the occasion. Before the non-stop race begins, there's a prologue stage, 26 kilometres of mountaineering and first swimming in the North Atlantic waters around the island. The world's finest adventure racing teams are here, and here's their first chance to eyeball each other in competition. Prologue times will be adjusted by holding teams at a checkpoint later in the main race. There are competitors from 20 countries, and all make it on the 6 to 10 hour trekking stage, including the team for a little-known adventure racing nation of Hong Kong. There are Brazilians here, as well as a host of Brits trying to take advantage of some local knowledge. Not something that will worry these guys. New Zealand is one of the strongest nations in the sport, and the two Kiwi teams will have a big say in how the competition unfolds. Orion are the early leaders.
I think it's just a challenge, really, of getting through the race as a team, and it's just pretty cool to get through as a group of 4. You go through fun times, lots of bad times, suffering, and at the end of the day, if you can get through it and stay together and stay happy, then it's a really good experience.
Watch out for Balance Vector as well. They're running second and are seeded #2 in the event. Not surprising with former world champions Richard Usher and Nathan Farvey in the all-star lineup.
This one was actually surprisingly pleasant. Yeah. I was very worried about that. I thought it was going to be freezing, but it was actually pretty nice. So, but happy to be out on land again, I must say.
Whilst it must have been a close call for the organisers, the #1 bib is worn by the Americans, Team Nike. 47-year-old Mike Closer, twice world champion, 3 times Eco Challenge winner, and even former world mountain bike champion, leads a stellar outfit. The only drawback is doing the race with a broken finger. Tell me about all this experience that you guys have got. Where does it come? Where is it most crucial? Is it with the sleep strategy? Is it with your various tactics?
That, and I think really knowing each other well enough, as Michael was saying, and knowing how to respond to each other's needs, and realizing that we each have our moments, ups and downs, and try to help each other when and where we can.
Be honest, if you come anywhere but first, will you be disappointed?
I don't think any of us will be disappointed if we know we've done our best.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's why we all come here. Like Michael said, we all have a common goal, and we all, you know, leave families and leave beautiful places and, you know, come here and race hard and put it on the line. So
what motivates you to keep coming back?
Oh, to see other beautiful places. I mean, we're sitting on a beautiful island right now that I never would have seen.
But it's the Kiwis of Orion and Balance Vector leading the charge on the prologue. Balance Vector's team leader, Richard Usher, is racing with his wife, Alina, from Finland. They've only been married a month.
For us, the prologue was really just a, you know, for all the top teams, it's just really a warm-up, and it's more about not losing time than, you know, than trying to win the race. So, I mean, we've all won, you know, races like this before, so, you know, we didn't see any reason why the 4 of us, you know, we're not capable.
Well, the honeymoon is over, and at the end of the prologue, it's the team we saw first, the other New Zealanders of Orion, leading back to the finish outside Kinloch Castle after 5 hours and 23 minutes of racing.
We were just cruising along with a whole bunch of other teams, really, and there was about 5 or 6 teams together at the last checkpoint, and we just ran away from them a little bit on the downhills. But there'll be a whole lot of teams coming in now really close.
Lundhags of Sweden, then the Spanish team Buff Coolmax. Any of these teams could threaten when the main race starts.
We will see how will be the race. I think much harder than expected. So because here up, down, up, down, up, down.
At the end of the down, Balance Vector have lost 7 minutes to their fellow Kiwis, Orion.
That's still a very small part of the race, but you know, it's definitely good to have a bit of time on some of the other teams like Nike and HELLY HANSEN. So.
Yes, watch out for that French threat from WILSA HELLY HANSEN a bit later on. And for the patient favourites, Nike strolling in 13 minutes behind on the prologue.
That's it. I know everybody held up well, I think. We just kind of took it a pace that we could sustain and know there's a lot of race ahead.
Brits Aberdeen Asset Management won the Wilderness Arc last year. They know this terrain and should be strong later on.
How was it?
Oh,
good?
Lovely. Yeah, beautiful. Nice route.
Yeah?
Yeah, very pretty.
And in terms of a prologue for the main event, how do you think it gears people up?
Good. Well, just to tell them it's going to be really hard.
26 kilometres and a 2,500 metre ascent, and that was just the warm-up for these guys, because the real race starts tomorrow, and once it starts, the clock doesn't stop. The athletes won't want to stop either until they reach the finish line in Fort William in 4 or 5 days' time. Now, on an event like this, sleep is for losers, so we better let them get some kip whilst they still can.
It's the race from here! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Challenging conditions for the crossing to the mainland, and prologue winners Orion are leading on the main race too. Kayaking, a major strength of the New Zealand teams, with Balance Vector in second.
There's a bigger hole.
The Europeans ain't too bad either, but one of Britain's biggest hopes haven't even left Rum yet.
We were just completely rammed, waiting to start, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's below the waterline. We took on water straight away. We're now currently repairing the boat. We could be 2 hours behind the main race as we get going. It takes a while for the glue to dry. We're just going to have to sort of dig deep and just work as a team, because we'll just miss the main race. We're just going to catch up.
After appeal, they get a time credit to balance their prologue time adjustment, whilst there'll be no such kindness to those who begin this ocean crossing with a bit more swimming. This is Sleep Monsters Innovate of the UK. Balance Vector are faster than Nike on the water.
Sea kayaking for us is not necessarily our strongest forte, but yeah, we're okay. And Chris coming on board, we were able to paddle, you know, at a decent pace, but we still got schooled by the other Kiwis and so forth.
The Swedes and the French are also up there, but Balance Vector are taking a grip on the race.
The pedal's been going really well for us. We're really surprised to be as far up the field as we are. We really thought if I get on the front, we were going to lose. Yes, I lose a lot of time on the kayak, so no, we're really happy to be where we are right now.
8 hours in a kayak isn't great for the backside.
Oh, much pain and discomfort. Oh. Where did that come from?
"35 kilometres paddled and our teams are finally reaching the Scottish mainland. The lead is a tightly fought contest between two of the Kiwi teams. Now, if you thought the paddle was over, you'd be wrong, because in truth, the kayak adventure has only just begun. Balance Vector reached the mainland with Orion just minutes behind, but now the route takes the teams across locks that have to be connected with portages. The locals are curious. The Kiwis are portaging on the compulsory route, but a few hours behind, these teams are getting the wheels out, where they weren't meant to. As is often the case in adventure racing, the tide and weather turn against the chasing pack.
We weren't making much progress on the water due to the wind, and we thought being on the road we can progress quicker.
We were getting about 1 kilometre an hour on the sea.
Very strong winds.
And the swell was against us, the wind was straight in our faces, and we thought we'd be able to do 2 kilometres an hour on the road.
You don't want to do a few miles up the wrong road with what must now feel like several tons of kayak. All seems to be on course though for the hotshot teams up front. Well, that's until the wheels come off for them too at the next checkpoint.
You know, you're always tired after you do 6-12 hours of racing, and that's fast pace. And then we had this to serve a penalty for the prologue. And so we weren't alone there. There were a lot of teams that had penalties for missing gear or not taking the proper route on the prologue, etc. So
penalties will cost Balance Vector the lead. Still a good 10 kilometres of kayaking to end this stage.
8:57, 9:01. You can leave. Okay, right, do you want me to...
Well, no, hold on a minute, it's 2 hours and 4 minutes, you're saying?
You've got a 2 hour 4 minute penalty, okay?
Because we had the 7 minutes from that we were behind.
Oh, right, yeah. What's going on here? 9:01. Right.
Yeah, we're serving a penalty.
Okay.
About 7 or 8 other teams ended up with penalties for various things, so and that kind of evened itself out a bit, but yeah, definitely put the pressure on to perform well in the first couple of days.
They'll be kept here at Tarbert until the penalty time has elapsed.
You know, that kind of balanced out because most all the top teams ended up with something or another. There was a couple that didn't.
Which is where the French come in. WILSA, HELLY, HANSEN have stuck to the rules and the right course, so take the lead onto the last part of the kayak stage. They're a tough team with Raid Gaulois champions and led by orienteering world champion, French-speaking Swiss Alain Berger.
And we started by kayaking, a long, huge kayak. I never did in my life such a huge kayaking section. Yes, of course, it's nice to lead, but it's not always a good sign to lead in the beginning of the race because it's often a sign of going too fast, and we made this mistake before. So we didn't really care about it very much.
Nearly 10 o'clock on day 1 as HELLY HANSEN prepared to start stage 2. 45 kilometres of trekking through the mountains of the Knoydart Peninsula. Now, they've got to take their chance, as have another team of well-behaved boys and one girl, Aberdeen Asset Management.
We didn't have any penalties. We've just gone steady away all day, really. Been good, everybody's sleeping back there.
Balance Vector are not so far adrift as the leaders might like, though.
We're about half an hour behind HELLY HANSEN, and they hadn't had a penalty from the prologue, so essentially they should have been an hour and a half up on us, but they'd already lost an hour that day, so we're pretty happy, and the gap kind of slowly came down over the night, but yeah, just one of those things that was still so early in the race that no one was really that concerned.
Almost 24 hours into the race, HELLY HANSEN haven't had a wink of sleep yet.
How's it going? Good.
Il y a combien d'équipes? How many teams?
You're the first.
The first? Good.
Au revoir.
Sorry?
Long night.
It's a pretty short night, actually. Yeah, things are going well. It's day 2. Beautiful day, Scotland. 2007 World Adventure Racing Champs. Yeah, we're pretty comfortable. We're travelling with another Kiwi team, so we've had a good night out there. It's a pretty short night, actually. Got lighting at about 4, so yeah, it's just beautiful here. It's fantastic. Great day to be out in the hills, for sure.
You can't get away from the Kiwis, of course, and Nike have got one on their team too. Chris Foyers and the mostly American race favourites are in 4th as they check their time splits with our cameraman.
About half hour. Excellent.
Somebody had a long walk. I did that just for you.
Great.
Aberdeen Asset Management are running in 6th. Whilst HELLY HANSEN are about the only team literally running as they near the end of this stage. From now on, it's all about sleep strategy and pacing. Balance Vector looking chilled in 2nd place.
You say obviously try and take opportunities if they present themselves, but you know, like there's so much of the race to go, and everyone's strategies as far as sleep and things like that, you know, haven't even begun to take effect. So, you know, you might be, you know, 2 hours behind someone, but you might have already had, you know, 2 hours more sleep than them. So, at some stage, everyone's going to have to sleep, and at some stage, the race is going to slow down.
After 26 hours and 110 kilometres, the French lead to transition 2 at Kinloch Hourn. Sleeping here would risk surrendering that lead.
I slept 3 minutes on the way.
3 minutes?
Yeah, it was very comfortable.
The next 138 kilometres will be on mountain bikes.
We saw many teams behind, small lumps, small groups, and they are not far away. They will come soon.
Balance Vector arrived 26 minutes behind, with Orion close behind them. HELLY HANSEN are almost ready to set off on stage 3.
Well, we had a little bit of a sleep during the penalty, which we had to sit out in the kayak, and we also had 2 hours, 2 or 3, I can't even remember, 2 or 3 hours sleep after the long trek. If you can race at the front of the field and be getting more sleep than everyone, later in the race it pays huge dividends. So you'll sort of find that the real contender teams are staying close to the front and sleeping more than the other teams, and then there's a whole group of teams that are staying really close but they're sacrificing the sleep, and at some stage then they just fall apart.
The French and the other Kiwis are going on.
We're probably going to do the same. We're just going to keep going until the body says enough. But you can normally push on a bit. Once you change disciplines, you feel a lot better. So that's what we're trying to do.
Now here's a bit of inside info for you. One of the oldest tricks in the book with adventure racing is to not sleep in the transition area itself, but to go just outside so the other competitors think you're still racing when actually you're getting a bit of kip. That's exactly what the French team have done, because whilst we saw them leave on their bikes, they've actually just sneaked their way into these buildings behind me for a bit of all-important shut-eye.
Only un petit peu of sleep for HELLY HANSEN though. They wake up in the lead with Nike now in 2nd. At 47 years old and twice world champion, Mike Closer knows exactly how to pace his team.
I'm not sure where we were placed after that the first track, but it was one of those things that we just, try to again race a pace that we're comfortable enough with, and if it's up front, that's great. As it worked out, we're doing well, and Chris was phenomenal with the navigating, phenomenal.
The mountain bike as well, there was a lot of pushing involved in that mountain bike. You might be able to ride it when you're fresh and you've got no pack, but...
The mountain bikes in this race, I tell you, they're tough. A lot of miles in a couple of them, and a lot of terrain that's boggy, wet, so, it's technical, which is good for us, but it can also be taxing.
HELLY HANSEN stay ahead of former world mountain bike champion Mike, and the French are first to leave their bikes temporarily for a special stage, a surprise that comes just after the halfway point of this bike ride.
It was at night, or just before dark for us, and we ride into this canyon area, and we have to run down this track to this canyon. And they say, okay, here's the deal. Jump off this cliff into the pool, and again, that water is probably, I don't know, 8, 10 degrees Celsius, which, you know, add that up in Fahrenheit, and it's cold. Wicked ass cold.
It's late on day 2 of the Adventure Racing World Championship. French team HELLY Hansen lead, and with 4 days to go, the course planners have laid on a psychological challenge for the teams in the middle of the mountain bike stage. Americans Nike are second to the lead.
Fair game. Just a quick jump in the water there. It's not too high, right there. Are we able to go naked? Absolutely.
So they allowed us to jump naked or nude or without our clothes. So in doing so, that was good because you get out and you just dry yourself off and throw back on your clothes and away you go.
Richard Usher's balance vector led early on. They're now a close third, but have had the most sleep. Richard's wife, Alina, looks more challenged than most by this latest test.
Because it's a race, you just tend to jump in. Like if you were going to do it, or if I was going to do it, when if it wasn't a race, then I'd probably still be standing there. But yeah, you just have to get on and do it when it's a race.
Richard's out of the water and has to coax Alina into it.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go!
But it's a real shock to the system, and you're sort of gasping for breath and sort of looking for the nearest exit. So.
You okay?
Are you okay? Just cool, man? Yeah. Come on, let's get you dried off. Oh. Get a towel. Get that towel. Get that towel.
Taking a grip on second now, the relentless Nike march on to the next challenge.
Balance vector.
Yes.
It's right behind us. And then HELLY Hansen is right in front of us. So all pretty that close. It's fun. It's so early though still.
HELLY Hansen are proving tough for the Americans to crack though, and the French will get out of the special stage and on with the biking, whilst Nike still have more challenges to do.
HELLY Hansen, we were seeing them back and forth at various places.
Oh, sorry guys. Sorry.
So we'd see them occasionally, and you know, we knew they were tough, but we just didn't know if they'd be tough enough in the end.
Biking through another night on rough tracks, the race is getting serious as the French cling on to the lead.
And I was between reality and somewhere else, and it was dark. I didn't see far on the bike. I had to read the map. I didn't understand the map. I could concentrate 2 seconds, not more. That it was never ending. All these stones. I hated it.
Back at Plodda Falls, similar emotions for the rest of the field.
Jumping off right over there.
Okay, we jump, scream, and get out.
That's right. That's it. Yeah. Can you have your life vest? Yeah.
Crazy.
On to day 3 of the main race and about halfway through the total distance. Teams on stage 4 are braving the monster for a swim in Loch Ness. The French have extended their advantage over a tough night. Balance Vector are 5th, almost 4 hours behind. Like Nike, they've had more sleep than the leaders, but with the sunny weather of the start now gone, it's tough times for some.
How was it swimming in Loch Ness?
Not too bad. Could have been worse. Could have been dark and I could have got eaten.
Not taking any chances, the race organisers actually took out insurance against monster attacks.
Did you see a monster?
Up here? No, I felt something brush against my leg. Wow. And I realised it was just Karen.
No insurance against the cold though. American Salomon Crested Butte are running high in the standings but feeling low on a cold afternoon.
Yeah, honestly, if you get in there, it's really warm. It's really warm. Get under. Yeah.
A race medic packs them up in a bag for some real team bonding.
Your core temperature is actually okay. It's alright. You don't feel too cold. But you went up to the castle and back.
Yeah.
Good job.
You're going to sit
He's in the front.
Well done, guys.
Very awesome. Hey, guys.
It's going to be a tough third day, and it's already been a hellish second night for British team Aberdeen Asset Management. They're just finishing the previous mountain bike stage.
It's up an injury, huh?
Yes. I've hit a rock at the water jump. It didn't go down very well.
The injury means Helen can barely get changed, let alone race.
Warren, just take my sock off, please. Well, everything was going quite well. About 6th position, cruising around, having good fun, doing all right. Not brilliantly, but we felt good about it. Got to a water jump about midnight. 3 boys went, and then I went, oh, quick, jumped and hit my bum on a ledge. And I don't think I fell unconscious or anything, but I've got a massive hematoma on my bum now. Can't sit on my bike seat, can hardly sit in the kayak. Oh, just desperate. Can't sit on the seat, so I just did 50k out of the seat. So we're pretty disappointed, but we're going to try as hard as we can.
And it's been a nightmare for us. She's been in real pain, but we've just got to see what happens now. Really, we've had plenty of sleep, so we're feeling reasonably fresh from that point of view. But I think our spirit's a little bit down, you know. But we just hope that Helen will be all right, and if we can, to keep on plugging away.
Helen makes it onto stage 5 then, but 10 hours behind HELLY HANSEN, who lead on the 46-kilometre trek. It's no walk in the park though, and hopefully no one's forgotten to pack their wetsuit for this one. Two of those 46 kilometres are down this canyon at Foyers village. The French enjoying themselves, it seems. But as for Nike, the adventure racing machine hits its first hitch. Mona takes the long way. Don't forget, most of us would just take the quickest way back out. Orion are next, the Kiwis fearless, if not always balanced. And balance vector a lot of time to make up on the leaders. It's now that a team has to work as such.
Go around this way. Go round to the right. Round to the right.
And no, they're not jumping off this one. There are some limits, you know. HELLY, HANSEN and Nike are still close, but the race is spreading out behind, with some great teams up to 10 hours later at the freezing canyon.
Oh, the canyon, very technical. Most than expected. And when you are tired, you see it more technical, even more technical. But it was nice and enjoyable.
Every now and then you wonder why the you do something so unpleasant.
I prefer walking or little mountain bike than the weather. It's so cold here in Scotland.
Yeah. It's good.
Every day is different.
We had some nice sunny days, now I got rainy days. It's alright.
And with 3 sunny or rainy days to go, Nike start to ratchet up the pressure on the French over the rest of the trek.
We saw them on the ascent, and then we saw them at the finish. We did a little more running than they did on the trekking portion of it. But, I think that was the difference in, you know, when the tides turned a little bit in the race.
Nike arrive later at Transition 5, but HELLY, HANSEN have had less sleep and are heading for the covers.
Now HELLY, HANSEN have taken a sleep.
Yep.
You're going to take the lead.
Yeah.
Have you guys had enough sleep yourselves?
I think we're doing pretty good. We're planning to sleep tonight sometime, obviously. But we'll just go do a bit of mountain bike first. You know, break it up in the night.
It seems that the French are finally paying for ignoring their body's basic need to sleep. They have survived on just 2.5 hours out of the last 63 hours of racing. Nike have stormed in front, and this could be a crucial turning point in the race.
HELLY, HANSEN are soon moving again though, and once again quicker than Nike over a night's biking. But the Americans have taken an hour's sleep before the morning. The two teams arrive at Transition 6 just 10 seconds apart, taking the chance to warm up and prepare for a kayak stage that could decide the race. On day 4, and these two are now well ahead of the Kiwis, Orion and Balance Vector.
It's amazing to think we've been racing for, I don't know how many days now, but and there we are in the same place at the same time. So.
What do you want to hear?
I want to hear the truth, how your bodies are feeling, how you're feeling. Oh, look at those hands.
Nike are away first, and if you're wondering how a supposedly aquatic stage can have an uphill section in it, it's because there's just not enough water on the ground to paddle across Rannoch Moor towards Glen Cove.
This time.
Orion know exactly what's in store.
We're going to pedal down a couple of locks, do some bloody portages across swamps and stuff. No, it's not going to be pretty.
Now, remember those lock-hopping kayak portages that the guys had to do at the start of the race? Well, they've got another one, but this time it's 15 kilometres that away. Now, I tried to pull one of these kayaks with a bit of gear in, and I managed about 15 feet, let alone 15k.
What do you know about the French?
I haven't heard anything.
Do you want to change them?
They're close behind, I think. I haven't seen them on the little thing, but they could be lurking just back there for all I know.
Heading down.
See the other team?
No.
Let's go.
I prefer kayak on water.
In and out of the boats all the way. It's a war of attrition on the freezing moors.
I don't know that HELLY HANSEN ever struggled. I think maybe they did on the portage. They out-paddled us again. Just smoked us coming across the lake, and then start the portage. They were probably 5 minutes back, and all of a sudden, you know, we were half hypothermic.
HELLY HANSEN really aren't any warmer. The French are slower on the land, and Nike hold on to the lead as the mountains of Glencoe, the next stage, appear in the distance, with the longest portage still in the way.
It doesn't matter, even if you get the lightest boats, they're still heavy out there. We had some glass boats, and you put gear in it and so forth, and you start dragging it across these grasslands and swamps. It's tough, and we just kind of rigged up a system with a line that went through the front handle and clipped onto our life vests, and that made it easier. You know, you could literally walk with a better perch and tow these things. But it was like tough, you know, after all what you're doing, it's just like, oh.
This could be deep.
Okay, hold on, because I'm...
Yeah. Slide cut here.
HELLY HANSEN have dropped back 37 minutes, and Balance Vector have dropped off the leaderboard completely.
Yes.
A little bit of sleep?
Yes, because we were tired. We were cold. It was very difficult, so we have decided to stop. We sleep in a house, and the family was very nice. It's good for the end of the race, because we have the motivation ready to go to see the American team.
All good.
With darkness, the news that Orion have a grip on third. They take a short sleep, and leaving the local population alone, they opt for a passing vehicle. Sleeping now is a good tactic, as HELLY HANSEN's decision to sleep in daylight means more portaging in the dark. The French find themselves unable to see the bogs ahead and waist deep in them at times.
It was more or less survival. We were tired, small problems, small injuries, and that was very hard, physically and mentally.
Voilà, c'est bon? Allez, hop. Allez.
Nike reached the end of the stage in daylight. Ahead of them, the final section. A massive 84-kilometre stage around the Glencoe Horseshoe and over Ben Nevis to the finish in Fort William. First, though, they'll add to the 4-hour sleep that they've had in the last 4.5 days, giving Helly Hansen the chance to make it a race all the way to the end. Starting their 5th consecutive day of racing through the Loch Arbor region of Scotland, Americans Nike will be adventure racing world champions if they can stay ahead and awake through the last stages, around the mountains of Glencoe and over Ben Nevis to the finish in Fort William. They're in the early stages of the journey with 24 hours still to run.
The last 2 tracks and then one little mountain bike thrown in between there. Yeah, just killer. You know, there's a ton of vertical. I think it was around 24,000 meters. That's like 80,000 vertical feet of ascending. It's like, and what goes up must come down, so. Whoa.
French team Helly Hansen have led for most of the race and will still be hoping to put the pressure on for a win as they trek the ridges to the south of Glencoe.
At what time have you seen the Nike?
They're 3 hours in front. 3 hours.
3 hours?
Bad news, but don't despair. A few miles ahead, down in Glencoe, Nike are asleep.
Descends à gauche là.
Là, ah ouais, je la vois, on la voit.
Back at the previous transition in Rannoch Moor, only 5 teams make the cut-off time to complete the whole course. Later teams will be sent on a shorter route, more directly to the finish in Fort William.
We've been walking on the highlands and with the water up our knees the whole night, and we've been freezing our asses off.
Don't forget, though, the so-called short course is still over 450k. Early leaders Balance Vector missed the cut-off by just 10 minutes. Aberdeen Asset Management had to retire after Helen's injury, but still an amazing 65% of teams will get to the end.
When the race finishes, I will tell you how my body feels. For now, we just have to keep going.
Nike still lead on the spectacular Anakiga Ridge.
Very nice landscape. I enjoyed it a lot because I was fit, I was fresh, I could enjoy it. Here as well, the scrambling on the ahead was quite... you should not miss a step and fall 80 meters down. But François was not fresh anymore, and he didn't enjoy the end of this.
Ouais. On va d'abord sur celle-là, ensuite là, là, là. Mais c'est vite fait, hein.
Ah ouais, des petites bosses.
C'est rien,
ah, c'est rien.
Un kilomètre chaque fois.
Ouais.
Whilst Helly Hansen are dreaming of the finish, Nike are closest to it.
How you guys doing?
Just Ben Nevis to conquer, Mike Tobin may be feeling every one of his 43 years now.
The beer, salad, shower, and bed. And that's my priority.
Other priorities include Britain's highest mountain and winning the race. With cliffs and cornices all around, it's an exposed place in the middle of the night. Helly Hansen reached the summit at first light, meaning there's nothing and no one between Nike and the finish. And just a couple of hours under 5 days of continuous racing, the 3 Americans and 1 New Zealander arrive in Fort William as World Adventure Racing champions for the 3rd time in Mike Close's case, though probably the first time he's won it with a broken finger. Next team across the line are Balance Vector, first of the short course teams to make the end.
Oh my God.
A hard and beautiful course indeed, over 500 kilometres of exactly what was needed for a world championship.
You're the first.
The first.
HELLY Hansen couldn't quite keep it that way, but a very French celebration for 2nd place, and after course director Phil Humphreys provides a shower, a treat.
We said we will have fish and chips with a couple of beers.
From Scotland, it's a beautiful area, beautiful scenery. But from the race itself, it's to cross the finish line. That's when you get the result of your work.
The first time yesterday, like in any race ever, I cried because I didn't know if I was going to finish. I didn't know if I was really physically going to be able to go on, and the fact that I finished that I didn't think I was going to at one point, it's hugely gratifying.
Right, ready? Go.
ORIONHEALTH.com set the pace on the prologue, and in the early stages, they take 3rd of the long course teams.
I'm sorry.
There's the whole array of best moments. Some of the views, we still saw some pretty amazing things. Yeah. Some of the jokes we told, those are the best moments.
I'm quite tired, but real happy that we finished.
Never seen it yet.
Yeah, just real stoked to finish and to achieve the challenge.
Nice. Well done.
Happy with the pizza.
Next time on Adrenaline Rush, we'll be in Sheffield for a muddy Microsoft UK challenge. Driving man and machine to breaking point.